exactly from here what information they're being able to gather from that. But we're gradually getting a few more pieces of the jigsaw, and I think this news that there was this distress signal sent out, at least saying that they had to have this electrical fault, it does sort of suggest that we're looking at the scenario of an accident.
Because the talk so far has been that the A330 is a new aircraft. Air France acquired it in 2005. I mean, this is an ultra-modern aircraft owned by one of the world's top airlines.
Yes, Airbus. And they are not commenting at the moment. At least that was the position during the morning. They said they were going to wait until there was more concrete information before saying what had happened to this plane. I think it would be inappropriate perhaps for me to comment on what exactly the state of the plane or its safety record is at this particular time.
Okay, Alistair, thanks very much for that update from Paris. We can go to Sao Paulo now and join our correspondent Gary Duffy, who's monitoring things from the Brazilian end of things. What are the authorities saying about this search and rescue operation, Gary?
Well, I mean, basically they have scrambled planes from Fernando de Noronha, which is a beautiful archipelago off the Brazilian coast, about 300 kilometers off the coast, and they've begun a search. But as we know, the plane was well advanced into its flight across the Atlantic, so I think the authorities have a difficult job on their hand and quite a large area to conduct a search. What we know about flights like this is that, the Air France plane left Rio de Janeiro around 7 p.m. local time, and normally what planes that are heading towards Europe would do is they would fly, I presume, for safety reasons, over Brazil for at least 4 hours. It's such a vast country, and then they would turn towards Africa and Europe, sort of up the Brazilian coast, and the search is concentrated in an area around 300 kilometers off the Brazilian coast. So a lot of effort going into that now, and it's still described, I should say, as a search and rescue operation.
In about an 11.5-hour flight from Brazil to Paris, do we know how often an aircraft would check in, and whether it was a Brazilian controller that would have been in charge of this aircraft in a way?
Yes, I think the Brazilian authorities would still have been monitoring the progress, but as I understand it, it was a radar station based off the coast of Africa that lost contact with the plane in the early hours of this morning, so which adds more credence to the report that this plane was well advanced into its flight across the Atlantic. And clearly, this is the most vulnerable part of the flight when you're well advanced over the ocean. The report of turbulence certainly has rings true as well, and with a flight coming into Brazil about a week ago where a number of passengers were injured as a result of turbulence, but that was over the country. But certainly it's not uncommon to get turbulence over the Atlantic.
This is a huge area of ocean that when we look at that map, Gary, we can see that this is obviously going to be a very difficult operation for search and rescue. Are they saying anything about a time frame? Do you think it could be some time before we hear any more?
Well, yes, I would imagine that would be the case, and they didn't, the plane I think was missing for a while before the search operation began at the first flight, I think when it made sense to do that. So I think it will be some time before we get any kind of reliable information about whether anything in terms of wreckage or any other material has been spotted in the area. We've no reports of that nature so far.
Gary, thanks for that update from Brazil. We're just going to move away from this so very, very briefly in the last 30 seconds or so.